thing is why I think scientists are have a particular responsibility to take part in these things, and it comes down to psychology. Now, there's a famous psychology experiment that was carried out at Yale University in America in the 1960s. It's called the Smokey Room Experiment. So psychologists, they ask university students to come to a meeting and sit in a waiting room filling out a form. And while the students were waiting there, they started pumping smoke underneath the doors. When this happened, when the students were alone, almost all of them, within 2 minutes, they saw the smoke, so they would get up to find someone to warn them about the smoke, right? They saw something was wrong, they got up to do something about it. But then the psychologists repeated the experiment with actors who were told to be there in the room, and the actors were told to notice the smoke, and then just carry on filling out their form. And when this happened, the students, they notice the smoke, they get a bit worried, they look around them and they think, nobody else is doing anything. Maybe these people know something I don't, maybe they know why there's smoke, maybe I'm overreacting. I can't risk getting up and making a fool of myself by getting up to warn someone if it's actually nothing to worry about. And obviously, it must be nothing to worry about because nobody's doing anything. And when the room was full of actors, the students would sit there whilst the room filled with smoke. They would sit there for 20 minutes while the room filled with smoke, ignoring the evidence of their own eyes that this was an emergency. And they sat there not doing anything just because nobody else was doing it. So this is the crazy situation we find ourselves in today in our society. Everyone has heard the warnings. Everybody knows it's an emergency. But when we look around us, hang on, nobody's acting like it's an emergency. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I misinterpreted this. Because if this was right, if we were really talking about civilization collapsing within my lifetime, then people would be out on the streets. And that is why it's so important that people are out on the streets, because it communicates urgency. And it's particularly important because when it comes from scientists, because scientists are the ones that said it's an emergency in the first place. But it's not our words that count, it's not our words that influence people, it's our behaviour. If I was to tell you now that I can see smoke coming out the back of that hall, and I think the building is on fire, but then I was just to carry on talking to you, you wouldn't believe me when I said the building was on fire, because my behaviour doesn't match my words. When scientists say it's an emergency,